Well, we got another week against a top 25 team. I guess that's what we asked for when we set the schedules up a while back. So once again, it's an opportunity game. They're a very talented football team that have a lot of skilled players on both sides of the ball, and they're big and strong up front. That's why they're a top 25 team right now. The biggest concern I have right now is after I listened to the radio coming in and heard that the New York Jets had all the Detroit Lions signals and all those kind of things, and the score was 48 to whatever it was. Guess who's going to have all our signals and all our hand signals and everything? Arizona State's going to have that. We're not going to have theirs, but they're going to have ours. So I would say that's, besides being a really good football and a really good football team, very talented, they also have some other advantages. So it's an opportunity game for us, but I would say that we are the big underdogs.
Can you speak to that with, I mean, obviously Herm made it a big deal that you really helped him in the offseason kind of become a college coach, and then he takes a couple of your coordinators. I guess, do you regret the decision at all?
What decision?
In helping Herm in building the program, because he was very adamant about how much you helped him, because he's not a college coach, he was an NFL coach.
Oh, I think he's probably selling that bigger than it is. Him and I talked a couple times when he was interested in some of our coaches. That's all we talked about. I don't think we had anything to do with their early success. Now, the coaches they took from us were very good coaches, and they're getting paid a whole lot more money right now. So, and they're doing a really good job of coaching too. So that's one of the reasons of success. And head coaches are successful if they have good assistant coaches.
What's the carryover from having played them last year to this year? What do you see difference-wise or similar? Or?
Well, I see a lot of the same athletes out there, but they're playing at a much higher and more energetic level than they did last year. And that's why they're playing well. I mean, they were a talented, very talented football team last year too, but they didn't have the spark or the energy or the want to that they seem to be playing with right now.
Do you think that comes from Herm because he's such a fiery guy and just, I mean, he's a motivational speaker and just kind of really gets kids and just people to really rally around one thing?
I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. I'm sure that the message, college coaches, we give, most of us all give the same message, but you give it in a different way. So he might be giving the exact same message as the last coach did with more enthusiasm, and since it's coming from a different guy in a different manner, they're reacting to it in a very positive manner.
Do you spend the week changing your hand signals, or have you done it already?
No, all that would do is confuse our players. So if you confuse your own players, you have no chance whatsoever to compete. So we'll live with that. They have an advantage, and we'll just try to do the best we can.
Hey, Rocky, a couple of years ago, when Maxwell Smith was here, the Kentucky transfer, and got hurt, Christian had to play and played fairly well at the tail end of that season, I believe. Where is Agnew on the developmental curve now that he has to step in compared to where Christian was when he had to go play?
Well, Ryan's been around for a long time, and he's a good athlete and a smart guy, and he's prepared himself every week to be the starter. Now he gets to be the starter. Sometimes it'll be interesting to see. He's plenty gifted enough as an athlete, and he's smart enough to have a very good game. But there's something psychological about coming off the bench as the backup and saving the day as opposed to being the starter. Some guys handle that very, very well, and some guys don't. I mean, I can't predict which way. I mean, we think that he's going to come off and play very well. That's our expectation level.
What's the key to him not getting flustered in the game for whatever reason that they bring against him?
Well, I don't think he'll get flustered. I mean, he's a guy that's been a starting quarterback in high school and in a highly stressful situation, and and he's played in a couple, 3 games, not a lot, but he's played in a couple, 3 games. Nothing will frustrate him that doesn't frustrate every other quarterback in the country. I mean, if you're getting sacked and we're not having success, that'll frustrate him, but it would have frustrated Christian too, and it would frustrate Arizona State's quarterback too. I mean, it doesn't make any difference.
Do you think he's even better prepared coming from Texas where football's so big and the stage is already big?
I don't think that has anything to do with it. He's prepared because he's been here for 3 years.
What is at Christian, his MCL, does it look, I mean, how, do you kind of have a timetable on that, I guess?
Well, we have a timetable, and it's a timetable given to me by the doctors. They think he'll be somewhere able to play between 3 and 6 weeks. And if you want to try to tie a doctor down more than that, it's impossible.
Can you talk about Manny Wilkins, style-wise, what you see, how different is he?
He's a very good athlete that has a very strong arm. Different from who? I mean, what is he different? The question was asked, what's he different? Is he different from who? Different from Ryan Agnew? Yeah, he's different because he's an experienced quarterback, but he has some of the same attributes. He moves around. He moves around well, and he can get out of trouble and make plays with his feet when he has to. He's a very experienced, very good quarterback.
In your 2 games so far, has Juwan played better, similar, or I guess not? You know what I mean? How has Juwan played compared to your expectations, I guess?
I think Juwan's met our expectation level. I mean, he's proved he's a very good running back. He even proved last week he's a pretty good running back when the offensive line's not blocking very well.
Defensive backfield, Rocky. What do you see against SU?
They're going to be under a lot of pressure. I don't know the exact stats, but I've read them several times, so I'll be close. They played a very good football team last week, Michigan State, and Arizona State threw for 380 yards or something like that. I think that's pretty close to the stat. So they were playing a ranked team that is from the Big Ten that has a reputation for playing great defense, and they kind of threw the ball very, very well and completed a lot of passes. And I think sometimes because I'm old school, I think sometimes I present that as old school. I've watched a lot of film here and watched some live games on TV, college and pros, and guess what? Everybody's throwing and catching the football. I mean, I saw a team the other night on TV where they were ahead 20-3 and lose the game in the fourth quarter, and they gave up all kinds of big passes, all kinds of long throws. Those guys are first-round draft choices. They're NFL guys. I mean, gee whiz. There's 2 things going on right now. Everybody's running the spread, and they're doing it from Little League up. So everybody is throwing and catching the ball much, much better than they used to, much better. And they're putting great stress on defenses that defenses didn't have to contend with a few years back. And then they make the rules as such that they eliminate everything the defense can do to prevent that from happening. I mean, everything is either interference or defensive holding, and you can't even light them up anymore, because if you light them up, you get kicked out of the game. And if you knock a quarterback down except between his waist and his chest, if you hit him any place else, it's roughing the quarterback. So the roughing up the quarterback so he doesn't want to throw it is good, that's gone too. So not only have they been, since they were 6 years old, throwing and catching the football, coaches have expanded it to spreading the offenses from sideline to sideline, and now you can't even intimidate the quarterback, and you can't intimidate receivers. So everybody's going to be able to throw and catch the ball against you. You just have to try to keep them out of the end zone as much as you possibly can, and your offense has to outscore them. I hate to admit that, but that's the way the game is going, because that really bothers an old defensive guy, but that's the way it is, and you got to live with the way it is right now. So we gave up some pass plays the other day, but everybody gives up pass plays.
Can you attack ASU differently than you did Stanford because you maybe don't have to worry about the run game as much?
There's now we're getting in X and O's. The Stanford game, they put more guys close to the football too. So you put more guys close to the football. So there's some one-on-one situations out there. In this case, they're going to spread us from sideline to sideline and put 4 receivers out there, 4 wide receivers out there most of the time. And then they're going to see what coverage you're in. They're going to run a pass route. So one or 2 of those corners are going to be isolated one-on-one too. They do it in a completely different manner, but they do it exactly the same way, where they get DBs isolated one-on-one against receivers, which they can't touch. They can't touch them, and the quarterbacks are very good at throwing it and putting it in a place the receivers can catch it. And receivers are much better at catching it now than they used to be, because they catch so many. I mean, they've been playing since it's like Little League Baseball. They've been playing pitch and catch since they were about 6 years old. And I don't know how you convince anybody to be a defensive player anymore. All they do is live with the short straw.
Do you think Herm, because he's an old school defensive guy too, do you think I mean, I know you can't get into his mind, but do you think he thinks along the same ways that, as far as, I mean, the defense can't really do anything anymore, kind of thing?
Well, I don't know what Herm thinks. I think that as defenses go, we are doing different things now to try to disrupt timing. You can't disrupt timing by hitting anybody, but you can disrupt timing by maybe pressing or bump and running the receivers. It doesn't do you any good to hit the quarterbacks anymore, so now you don't rush the quarterback anymore. Now you try to press the offensive lineman back into the quarterback so he sees all these things in front of him, so he doesn't throw it quite as good, because you don't want to hit him. You don't want to hit him because that's going to be a penalty. But so now they're trying to push guys back into the quarterback's eyes so that he doesn't see the receivers quite as well. I mean, so that's changing on defense. I mean, we're trying to change things to give the defensive guys a chance.
A couple of years ago, when Cal came in with David Sweat and all those huge passing numbers, you did a pretty good job putting a lid on him and keeping him out of the end zone. Is Wilkins and ASU different than what Cal's package is?
They're similar packages. I mean, all those people that are playing with four wide receivers at a time, they're very similar packages. And then, I mean, you can go radical, and we can put enough guys out there in coverage that it will be difficult to throw the ball, but then they'll have 300 yards rushing. I mean, those offensive guys are a lot smarter than defensive guys. I mean, all they do is they spread you out, and then they count how many guys are close to the line of scrimmage, how many guys are close to the ball, and that tells them either to throw it or pass it. I mean, it's a really, really simple. They've made the game really simple. So they're a lot smarter than defensive guys. Defensive guys like to hit people.
Why do you think your offensive line just had so much trouble against Sac State comparatively to the week before? I mean, considering that you have all those returning guys.
Well, I think Sac State did some really nice things on defense up there that caused some indecision up front. I think we did that the first week against Stanford, and SC thought they were good enough they didn't have to do it. And you saw what happened to them. So, and they were I think they're supposed to be a big-time team, right? SC is. Sacramento State determined that they had to do all that stuff to slow us down, too. Take some chances, twist and turn defensive linemen, all those kind of things that gave our offensive line a little bit of trouble, too. Now, you want the positive of that is we threw the ball a lot more, and we threw it darn well. We threw it and caught it really well. So that's a real positive for our offense.
With ASU changing its defense this year, are you surprised that they haven't had more of a learning curve and have found success pretty early?
My opinion is the people that have played against that defense don't understand that defense. The people we play do.
So you understand the ASU defense and what it's going to give you, I guess, kind of thing.
I think our offense has a good handle on what their defense is going to do. Now, we'll find out if we're good enough to take advantage of that, understanding the defense. Because, I mean, they're big, strong guys up front.
Rocky, what's the prognosis on Noble Hall, and how hard will it be if he's not part of this?
Noble, I got the – I mean, obviously it was a different injury, but I got the same report from the doctors. They expect him to play this week from anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. They gave him the exact same. And he's made a difference the last 2 weeks that since we moved him back inside over the center, as opposed to last year him playing defensive end. I mean, he's had made a noticeable difference in our run defense. And him not being in there is going to be a problem for us for however long he's out.
Who's going to be his replacement this week?
Well, we're gonna try a couple of 3 guys in there, but Miles Cheatham will start in there.
What's as far as Agnew goes? What's I guess kind of his? When do you maybe move depending if he can't handle the pressure of being in the ASU games? When do you move to the next guy? I guess kind of thing. Or
Who is that?
Agnew versus when do you move?
No, we're not going. He's going to be in there the whole game.
Who is the next guy? Is it Mark or Carson?
It's Mark Salazar, right now would be the backup. Mm-hmm.
Rocky, are you surprised Herman Edwards would leave what he was doing and seemed to be doing very well to get back into this grind at this level?
I don't know Herm real well, but I'm not surprised at all. It's when you've been a football player and a football coach for a while, nothing seems to be as good or as exciting or as stressful. I mean, when you're a player and a coach, I mean, every day is either depressing, exciting. You work just as hard, but it's kind of a lifestyle that is addictive. It's an addictive lifestyle, and it's very hard to give up.
Why do you think he called you to get? I mean, obviously you have great coordinators, but and he has obviously San Diego State ties. Why do you think he called you to talk to your guys?
I'm just guessing. I have no idea. I think Herm, since he's a former San Diego State player, keeps track of how this program is doing. And as he was keeping track on how this program was doing, he liked what we were doing especially on defense. He liked what he saw, what we were doing on defense. So he called up here to see who could run our defense, by the way, who could run our defense somewhere else. Okay? And so he came in and he had the resources to take our guys away. And the guys he took away from us are really good coaches. Danny Gonzalez is as good a coach as I've ever been around. He understands, I mean, he's been with me like 17 years or something. He understands our defense better than I do. And if the first 2 weeks are any indication whatsoever, he's doing a great job for them because they were not good on defense last year, and they're really good on defense the first 2 weeks. So Herm was really, really smart to come take those guys away.
Does that help at all that I mean, obviously Danny learned from you, the defense. Does that help you guys at all? I mean, I know they obviously get 5, 4-star guys and all that.
It helps them a lot more than it helps us. Okay, because we run a certain type of offense that we're not exactly sure how Danny is going to try to defend our offense, because every time we played a running team like that, we change up things. Just like we did this year against Stanford. We changed what we did against Stanford as opposed to what we did last year. So we're not real sure what Danny's going to come up with against our offense. Okay? They know exactly what we're doing because they've seen it all spring practice and all fall camp. I mean, and they know our signals, and I think it really helps the quarterback of the other team when they know if it's zone or man-to-man. I think that really helps the quarterback.